clock ticking at a hot pace. The mind charges on in a foot race. Always making progress, gotta get there. Always looking forward to the somewhere. But the soul is left unsatiated, dreams left over and refrigerated. Starving on thoughts of the future, giving it up to the possibilities of the future. Up on the horizon, forever and beyond. New lens giving focus. The process is the purpose. Taking a deep breath of today's air. The list will never end and I don't care. Having a conversation with a good friend. The time stops, it flies, it never ends. Walking to the rhythm of a heartbeat. Not alone on this path, there are other feet. Moving like a song through the silence. Flowing steady in the quiet of the timeless. Traveling together on the inside. Trusting in the dance of the moontide. Living in the pulse of the present moment. Giving it up to the pulse of the present moment. Up on the horizon, forever and beyond. New lens giving focus. The process is the purpose. One thing we need to know, we must trust and trust in us. Today is all we need. Today is enough.
There's some funky badassness right there, everybody. That was Mrs. Fun, and it is Process is the Purpose, and it is by Mrs. Fun, and it's on their latest album, Truth. You're listening to Big Blend Radio, Champagne Sunday Show with Nancy and Lisa, publishers of Big Blend magazines, and we are at Dancing Moon Bed and Breakfast in Clifton, Colorado. It is a beautiful day, and we're very excited to have Connie-Grauer, who is the keyboardist in Mrs. Fun, and then also the drummer, because this is a duo here. The drummer is Kim-Zick, and you got to say, I mean, that's amazing, amazing music. So check them out at mrsfun.com. We're very excited to have Connie join us. How are you doing, Connie?
I'm well, thank you.
My
nice to meet both of you. Yeah,
you
good
too.
To meet you.
I think your title of your album, Truth, just started at the beginning of the show, and I don't know what you did, but now it's like that's the whole theme of the show.
Oh, that's funny.
Truth.
Well,
yeah.
you know, it's funny because we titled it. We were in the studio. We were about 3/4 of the way done with the recording, And I just said to Kim, I said, I have a name for this because we came to our truth with how we were writing the music to release. It's like I deliberately wrote the music to fulfill our truth. It's abstract and it's deep. It's complicated. It's complicated music, and I hesitated in the past to release that. So I have many more songs that I've written like the ones on Truth, but I finally thought it's time after 32 years of playing together that we actually challenged the listening audience with some of our more complex writing. And so I said to Kim in the studio, I have a title for this, and she goes, so do I. And I said, well, you say it first. I'll say it first because then you'll know I'm not just copying you. And then so I said Truth, and she said Truth. And I said, I can't even believe that of all the words and of all the titles of a recording that we both came up with that one.
Wow.
And it's timely, isn't it? It's timely.
Oh, yeah, it is timely. In the beginning of the show, we had our champagne toast, and I was toasting to you and Deborah Anderson, who was on with her documentary, Women of the White Buffalo, and, interviewing the women in the Lakota tribe out of Pine Ridge in South Dakota. And it is about truth. And we were talking about the truth in the arts. And it is, I think, we can all argue about, it's the news, fake news or not news, whatever. But the thing is truth. I think it is in the arts. I think it's the only thing truth anymore.
Right? Yeah. Truth,
so,
because in a lot of our music, it's instrumental, so we have to trust each other. When we recorded this record and all of our recordings, we do it live. The only thing that we can't do are the vocals because we record in the same room. And so the drum mics would bleed into the vocals. So I have to do the vocals later. But aside from that, all the bass lines you hear, I'm playing with my left hand, and all the other keyboards I'm playing with my right. So and it's live. So
and
we have to trust each other. It's our truth. And now, and it was not that long after that we started hearing that word all over the place on the news and truth this and truth that.
Yeah.
I think there is a lot of truth if you're needing to trust the person you're performing with and playing with to, trust whatever they do and follow and try to catch on. And a lot of our music is improvised. So.
No, it's amazing to me, especially on the keyboards. I know, Nancy, you play keyboards, but I mean, that bass.
Well, I just got stuck on you're doing the melody with your right hand and playing the bass with your left hand. And at first I went, that's, that sounds right because that sounds right. But then I stopped and think, somehow I want to now put the right hand on the bass and the left hand on the melody. Maybe the guitar more,
Yeah.
Wow.
Something.
Wow.
Well, when we first started, I couldn't play this way. Kim and I had a jam session, and we invited a bass player to join us, and he didn't show. So we tried to reschedule, and he didn't show again. So Kim said, why don't you just play the bass? And I said, because I can't. She goes, well, just try. And then I started listening to bass players like crazy and getting lines and, and then this is really an awesome story. We were in Nashville, and I was leaving a music store, and there was a guy walking in who knew who I was, and he said, hey, we started talking. He had a cartridge for a Yamaha DX7, which is real old school keyboard, and he said, I'm quitting. I just programmed a patch called Jaco, and he tried to get the sound of Jaco Pastorius in this sound. And he goes, no one has it. I'm quitting the company. Do you want it? And I got the sound. I was the only one that had the Jaco sound. So to this day, I still play the Yamaha DX7 with the Jaco sound. And, of course, the next step was to go listen to everything Jaco ever played. And then so I could play like him, and with that. So that's cool.
That is really cool because, when you think about, and, you say, oh, it's an old Yamaha, but to me, when it comes to keyboards and
the older
organs,
the better.
I have a thing about all these, the different stages, and I don't ever want to see any keys in the landfill ever because there's sometimes one part won't be the best of it, but it'll have some stellar setting on it that, you just, that's that one. So how many keyboards do you have?
Oh, about 14.
Wow. Yeah. Yep.
And I use, depending on the performance and the space or whatever, I use anywhere from 2 to 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah,
on this recording, I used 4. It was the ultimate setup. It was like a box with the back end being open. So on the left side was the piano. Then in front of me, facing Kim on the drums, was the DX7 for the bass and the keyboard below it for the melody. And then on the right side was my Nord, so that I used that. On the Processes of Purpose, that was the solo sound, and that was the Nord. So
you need to send that to Marcus Lemonis, the prophet.
Lemonis, yeah.
Yeah, because he always says it's the people, the process, and the people, the product, and the process.
And the process. Yeah.
Yeah, the process. It's like it's all about the process, and it was just so funny. I was like, oh well, we have to play this now, and it's like it was on my list to play, and I'm like, okay, we're rolling with this because there is something. The bass line, there's something about bass. I learned bass at one point, and it helped me. I played bass guitar. And from there, that was, I learned keys and guitar and vocals and all this stuff. But it was the bass guitar that actually made me just get to the gut of music. And it helped me with everything else. And it was actually our bass player, this was years ago, our bass player, I had to teach him blues because I learned blues riffs and I got into some funk stuff. And listening to the bass line on your playing, I don't think I've heard a keyboardist go like that. And it's like, wow, this is badassery. That's what I was saying. This is some good stuff. Did you learn something? Did that help you in your playing by going and starting to play bass, being the bass player on the keys?
It was a process.
Yeah, here we are.
Yeah, it was a process, and I heard as the years went by, I heard from a lot of bass players, like Brian Ritchie with the Femmes once said on a radio interview. They asked him who was the best bass player around, and he said my name, and I thought all these other bass players are kind of mad because I'm playing keyboard bass, and then Brian Ritchie said that. And Victor Wooten also really likes it, and I'm thinking, I listen to those guys play, and it's just a process because it didn't start out that way. My left-hand bass line started out more simply, and then I was able to separate the parts, and it took a little time to be able to be 2 players, in one.
Yeah.
Because you're the one who could do this project. I tried. I bought an orchestra score, and I tried to do every single part in the orchestra score and record it on my keyboard and then play it back and be an orchestra. And it sounded pretty funky.
That's an awesome goal to try to achieve. That's really cool.
Yeah, so I hand it to you.
Well,
I learned a lot.
Oh, good.
About different instruments and how to make an oboe really sound like an oboe on a keyboard. Because you can push the oboe button and it doesn't really sound like an oboe because you didn't play it like an oboe.
That's exactly right. That's why I listened to Jocko so much after I got the sound that said Jocko. You have to kind of play like the player.
Exactly. So
that's
so go get an orchestra score and see how you.
That's an intense goal. Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
no, it's cool.
What I really enjoy about going through Truth, I was saying this at the beginning of the show. It is like full of delicious surprise, and you and I think it's what's neat is I think between your bass line and then you've got Kim on the drums. I mean, she's doing these fills and then bam, and then it's like whoa. I want to see a cooking show with your music and see what happens to the chefs. Could you imagine?
That'd be fun.
Like all this, because when you listen to it, you're so full of so many surprises, yet you've got a flow to it. I'm like amazed at it because it is full of surprise, and yet you have that flow and dynamics and everything going on, and your brain is like, it's like brain food. Your brain's like tripping out, and then it's like, no, but this is some groovy, funky bass, and yet the way she's doing the drums is like doing that. I'm here, I'm keeping you going, I'm keeping you moving forward. It's fantastic.
You know, Kim is absolutely remarkable. She's an extremely melodic drummer.
Yeah.
And I think that and funky her time, and she's so good. She can take things and move that beat around ahead of the beat, behind the beat. Like there's one, Tula's Turnaround is a good example on the recording because Kim's drum solo, what she does in that drum solo is really remarkable. And my job during that solo was to keep the time precisely in the middle of the beat. And what she did was went ahead and behind the beat, but it was really challenging and just awesome. You know, that challenge, I know what you're saying about trying to play in the orchestra. It's just challenging to do this, and I've always loved the challenge. You know, we've been going for 32 years.
That's a long time, man.
Yeah.
That is. And then it's like you start to know you know each other's movement, but then at the same time, you're bringing that surprise in, and I think that's important so that it's always changing but keeping your signature sound. I do want to say on Tula's Turnaround, I love Tula's Turnaround because all of a sudden the church lady pops in, and then here comes the Phantom of the Opera. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
the church
we should
lady.
play it. It's Sunday. Can we play it? Do you mind if we play it? I want people to hear this because it's
sure.
like, oh, God, we got to play this. Because I wanted to play it. I couldn't wait just because of the name, Tula's Turnaround. Who's Tula?
Okay, so first of all, the way the progression is written, it's a descending part starting on F minor, and it descends down to C, and in a pattern that keeps repeating. So that's the turnaround.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, you know, I'm not good at naming songs, but I said, you know, what name? Whose turnaround is it? You know, I don't want to put my name on there. That's ridiculous. So Kim goes, how about Tula? And Tula was a cat that Kim had. So Tula's Turnaround, and Tula was the antithesis in her personality, the antithesis of what this song is. So we found a little humor in it. Tula was very laid back, and this song is not.
I had a feeling there was an animal involved. I thought it was going to be a dog chasing its tail. So now we have the cat.
But I know what you're saying. The way the music sounds, it sounds like the animal would have been real rambunctious and active. But no, it was just then, like I said, Tula's personality was the antithesis of this song. So we found a little humor in that, and that's why it's called Tula's Turnaround.
But, you know, see, cats have that. Like dogs do. They jump up and they turn around, they wag their tail, and they drool, and they're like, la, 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 la. And cats just look at you and turn around and walk away.
Right.
It's like, yeah. Or they'll just attack your leg, you know, the ones that just go up and grab your ankle. Yeah. Okay, speaking of names, before we play Tula's Turnaround, say that 10 times real fast on the Champagne Sunday show. Zawinul? It's swanky.
Sure.
I call this the swanky song.
Yeah, Zawinul, you know, that's my I wrote that song in tribute to Joseph Zawinul. Okay. He was a keyboard player, and he wrote several tunes that are in all the fake books, and he was, you know, played Weather Report, and I just like his writing and I like his playing, so I wrote that song, and I didn't have a title, but it reminded me of him, so yeah, that's a little tribute to Joe.
Okay, let's play Tula. Everyone, here it is, Tula's Turnaround. That was a hard thing. It's like, go through, what songs do you want to play on the show? And the next thing you know, everything's underlined, and I love that. It's like the best thing. I know. So here it is, Tula's Turnaround. Everyone, again, Tula's Turnaround, and now you see why we wanted to play that. It's on the album Truth by Mrs. Fun, and I love the drums in there, are incredible.
Oh,
seriously.
That drum solo,
amazing.
When Kim goes into that press roll in the middle of her solo and then takes it into that other direction and then comes back to the press roll, I'm like, I love that solo so much that she does.
And how you did your bass. I mean, it's like, you guys are amazing. I really want to see you guys play live. I know, like, life has kind of changed in that world, but I'm so glad you've got your music out there so people can enjoy it. And everyone, you can get it on iTunes and Amazon and all those places. I know CD Baby's gone weird.
Yeah.
That
surprised us, but Spotify and a lot of digital downloads. We even released it old school. They can send you have the copy. You can see the Funtime Records, our record company, in the P.O. box on the back. People can order it old school and send a check. Make it to Kim for $15, and then we send it to include the shipping and handling. So
what's a check?
Right.
I know, but I love that, and also that it's your own label too. Mrs. Fun, where did that name come from? I love that. And it has to be in all caps, everybody. There's no Mrs. Fun small letters. It's got to be all caps.
All capitals. Well, again, it was about a cat.
Here we go.
I know.
Cat ladies. Here we go.
Cat ladies.
It was, I took this was 32 years ago. So I took a recording of us to a club on a cassette tape. And the club owner listened to it. I said, we'd like to play here. And I just handed him the tape. I stood there while he listened to it. He liked it. He said, what are you doing next Friday? So that's how we got our first gig. And then he goes, oh, by the way, what's the name of your band? And we didn't have one. So I called Kim and I said, what's the name of our band? And she goes, she was playing with a string with her cat, Robini, but she called her Mrs. Fun. And she would do a little, Mrs. Fun, see her run. And then so Kim was doing that with Robini when I called. So she just said, I think she might have been slightly irritated, but she said, Mrs. Fun. And I said, Mrs. Fun? I go, well, that'll work for our first gig. And then we'll talk about it, figure it out. And no, it stuck.
That's really funny.
It's fun, and I love it. I love the whole album. And one of my favorites is "Calm Before the Storm" because it's all like, we're all happy. It's like, all of a sudden, So you've got like elements that the fun thing is a surprise to me, but 32 years, playing together. How did you meet? How did the whole thing happen? And I mean, were you in other bands before you met Kim, or?
Well, we actually met in 7th grade, so we met in a drum. We're both from Waukesha, Wisconsin, the home of Les Paul.
Oh.
Yeah, and so we both took a drum class in the summertime at our junior high, and then I was in the class. I played drums, and so then Kim joined in, and I don't know, the teacher just put us together, stood together, and did our rhythms together. And Kim was very shy. She didn't say anything, and I was very outgoing, so I always got along well with shy people, and we became friends.
Oh, wow. And and off we go with this duo. It's amazing. So the keyboards, when did that start for you?
I started playing piano in college. All my instruments that I played leading up to it, I just wanted to play every instrument that was out there. So I have great parents who provided me with that. So I started off with the standard ukulele, baritone ukulele, guitar, banjo, drums, singing. And eventually, when I got to college, I started playing piano and really loved it. So I had the ability to play some of them, not like the keyboards, though. That really took off for me.
Yeah, I'm glad.
As a kid, there was a music store down the street from us that would you could rent an instrument for $6 a month. So every month there's like, here's my allowance, my $6. I need a new instrument, and I didn't even care what it was.
Right.
And then after about the 6th or 7th instrument, the guy says, "You need a keyboard."
Oh. Well, we were similar then, because I wanted to get my hands on every instrument I could.
Yeah. You gotta do the orchestra thing. I'm telling you.
How did it turn out?
Well, for me, it was a real challenge, and my life kept changing so much that I don't even have a keyboard now, which is horrible. But I have a computer keyboard, which I can turn into music.
Oh.
But it's just it's a real learning thing, and I think you would ace it and you would love it. So
and you should add some bass to it, like just take up the orchestra. Can you imagine?
That'd be so cool.
Oh, I'd just even a short piece if the two of you did that. Just because I know now you've got two covers, right? You've got Soulful Strut. Now that is a cat song. I dedicate that to Morris, our cat who's passed. He was named after Jim Morrison, so there you go. Got Light My Fire on the album too.
Oh.
But but there is a cat thing going on because they have interesting ways of walking, and there is a strut, and sometimes the tail is up with that little top part curved, and it's like I am strutting. So is the Soulful Strut, putting that on the album, was that part of a cat thing?
No, it wasn't. It was one of the few things that wasn't related to a cat. We have always put a cover tune on all of our recordings, and all of them have been like a Thelonious Monk tune. So this one, with the way this one was shaping up, we thought it would be really neat to put something kind of different on. So Soulful Strut is just, there were two versions of that song that when it was released. This one was instrumental, and then there was a vocal one that was released and went under a different name. I'm not recalling the name now, but of the two, typically the vocal would be the one that would have become the bigger hit, but for them it was the instrumental. version. So, and really people don't necessarily know the title, but as soon as we start playing it, they know the song. So
exactly.
heard it,
that happened to me. That happened to me.
And then Light My Fire, of course.
Yeah.
Probably one of the most covered tunes.
Yeah.
You know, when we were getting our clearance, they had mentioned that Light My Fire is one of the most covered songs. But we tried to make it a little different. I mean, it's different anyway because there are no lyrics, and that's what a lot of people, you know.
I like Orange Grove. I wanted to play that as the first song. Because it had all the the society piano in there. And I love Spanish music, and you had just all these different. I just felt like I went on a little journey to different places. I felt like I was in Texas, and then I felt like I was in Puerto Rico, and I really love Orange Grove, and it's Champagne Sunday show. So can we close with that song, because I want that in there, because and the society, that piano part that you play, I'm into that, and it was one of my favorites.
We were in Orange County doing some recording with Martha Davis with the Motels, and and that was in Orange County in California. So this one's called Orange Grove, and that's because where it was. Yeah.
So now that's mimosa time, right? Because it's Champagne Sunday. What are you toasting to? What are you happy about?
You know, I was thinking about. I'm happy for a lot of things. I'm very grateful. I feel very grateful every day that I wake up and get to do what I love doing more than anything. I've known it since I was 12 years old. But I was thinking about this the other day, and I thought, I'm happy that the planet got a little break, even though this is a horrific situation with the pandemic, but the whole entire world had to stop. And it gave our planet a little reset button as well. And I don't know if you saw the aerial photos of, I'm not sure where it was in it wasn't China, it was somewhere where there's a lot of, maybe it was Japan. I don't know. There was a lot of pollution, and they took an aerial photo in the late fall, like December or January. Then they took another one, and they showed how clear the atmosphere had gotten because they couldn't drive, and the carbon monoxide emissions weren't happening. So it reset the planet in a way, and also how it's affecting animals. I've seen pictures all over the place of animals coming out in Africa, sitting on the road. So I feel like that's a positive thing, just to get a little reset.
We should learn from it. Especially when you're looking at pollution. We should learn from that and say, "Hey, look, people, come on."
Hope.
I think
nature
my hope
wants
is that
we learn from it.
Nature wants humans to go on a break once a year. 1 month.
It would be nice if we could. And I've often thought about that. What if we would have, years ago I thought of this, what if we would have one day where you couldn't have any carbon monoxide emissions? Just one day, maybe a month. What does that do to our planet and all this stuff? But now we were forced to do it, and we see the results, and I'm hoping the humans will take the positive from that and learn from it and moving forward.
I agree, for sure.
We travel full time, and our whole thing is to document parks and tell the stories of the communities, and it's really interesting. We were, the whole shut-in thing, we were in 29 Palms, California, and we went to see a friend of ours, and we were right outside Joshua Tree National Park, and, we used to live out there, and our friend, she's like, "Oh, we haven't seen you for 6 years. You need to come here, just spend a few weeks and go to Big Bear, do this and that." And we ended up there for almost 3 months. Well, because it was shut down, and we were supposed to go to the Sequoias, and they were shut down, and it was so our whole Love Your Parks tour kind of got derailed. And so we went daily with live shows. We're like, well, let's, people, it affected musicians, the tourism industry. It affected so much. And, of course, there's the health concerns and everything. But what was interesting is the weather was changing so much in 29 Palms, and she had lived there for many years longer than us. But they didn't have it was like there was this cleansing going on, and the rain, it was colder longer, and these rains that just kept going on in the high desert, and the desert lilies bloomed, which they only bloom that prolifically like every, I was going to say 15 to 20 years. I could be wrong on the number, so botanists don't get after me. But it was one of these rare things, and we'd go out and, walk. The desert property, she had a lot of land, and we'd walk and clean things up. And there were these, we were picking up trash that was blowing in the streets and all that kind of thing. We were picking it up, and all of a sudden we turn around, there's this desert lily, and look at me. It's like a big Easter lily. It is just this bloom in the desert that you're like, what? And then there's another one, and another one, and another one. And all these flowers that don't bloom that often were out. And yet you couldn't go to Joshua Tree Park. Yeah, you couldn't go in the park. But the park ranger, the superintendent, was really cool. He's doing all these videos to show people what they're missing, but so that they can still see it. And it's just, we've seen it. And just now we went to Nevada. Now we're here in Colorado. And the air is cleaner. And you feel the presence of Mother Nature saying, we're taking over. I'm the mother here. We're taking over, and it feels really good. I think it is a reminder of what we do, and I also feel like there's a toast to the shifting of perspective of people kind of reuniting with their families, even if it is over Zoom or whatever.
Yes.
And kind of figuring out what is their purpose, you know? So, and even in businesses, and I'm worried about all the small businesses, and part of our thing is to help them, but it's I don't know. I feel like this is we're going to call the church lady in again.
Yeah.
Like the
church lady.
The church lady moment where she's, where it's like, come on,
we all hope that the outcome we will have learned something.
Yes.
And we know the human spirit is the tenacity of the human spirit is phenomenal. And I just hope that we don't go back to some of our old ways, but we learn from a lot of this and, apply it to how we proceed.
Hey, that was our band name, Human Spirit, years ago.
Oh, yeah?
Out of San Diego, Human Spirit. How funny you said that, and you said it twice. I'm like, whoa, that's wild. That's yeah. No. So you're in? Am I right that you're in Wisconsin?
Yes, Milwaukee is our base.
Okay. Oh, okay. So Milwaukee. Yeah, I was going to say what is going on there? We're seeing more and more. We're getting more interviews out of that area. I know you have good beer and festivals, but what is going on in regards to music? It has always been that deep in music. Oh
yeah, for those of us based here in that we always say that Milwaukee's the best kept secret. It's like Seattle was the best kept secret until the grunge scene came on, and then they were popularized. But it's unbelievable the caliber of musicianships here, and you can go from all of the jazz musicians to just the rock, the blues, and then even the classical stuff and the dance things going on here. I mean, the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra is phenomenal. And so we're all the way from all genres of music, and there's present music, and they're a small orchestra that does only living composers, so all 20th century composers, avant-garde, and
that is nice.
Yeah. So it's quite remarkable here. Not right now, nobody's playing, but Summerfest is probably the biggest music festival in the world. And that happens here every summer. That's something that you might want to get to. You can go to, it's 14 days or something, 14 stages, 11 days, something like that. I might be turning those numbers around. And there's a band on every stage all day long from noon until midnight. And it's remarkable, the number of bands. And they have the Marcus Amphitheater, so they pull in, the real big names too. But there's some amazing music that goes on, and musicians all over the world they try to get into that festival because it's just awesome. They pull in 100,000 people a day. It's one of the few that have not been canceled.
Really?
We usually get a headlining slot, and we did get one. That was the last thing I booked, a headlining slot on one of the stages, and then the state shut down. So what they are saying right now is that they are pushing it to September. But as we get closer, I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah. It's hard this year to figure it all out, but I feel like when it does come back, it's going to come back like big and bold, man. It's going to be party is on. And I think it's still going to be a little different. Like there's going to be more social distancing, even like you know, when you're in the line for beer at the festival, you're going to be 6 feet apart. I feel like we're kind of going to go into that new norm. But in a way, you know what sucks is mosh pitting is not allowed anymore. I'm like, that's okay. I'm quite okay with that.
Do you think that people are going to feel comfortable in large crowds?
I think it's going to be weird. I mean, to me, at least you're outdoors, right? You're outdoors.
Right.
I don't see myself in the sunshine with a mask on for that long and enjoying myself at a con. I have to be.
I can't even do the mask.
I know the mask thing has to happen. We do it as we travel. You get out of the car, you have to put it on, but there's a line of how much you can wear it. You know what I mean?
I know. It's not pleasant.
No. And as one friend of ours said on Facebook, don't have a hangover and go shopping with a mask on.
Oh gosh,
bad things happen. But I'm thinking like I think that it will be maybe smaller festivals. I don't know. They're going to have to kind of shift it up where I don't know. Maybe less people. There'll be a shift, and I don't know what's sad for what I think is the venues that are indoors. You know, the actual clubs and. That's what's scary.
Sure, and that's that's popped into my mind in the last month, thinking who's going to survive of the smaller venues.
Yeah.
Who's going to survive? Are these clubs going to survive? I mean, some will, some won't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe people will go from a weekend society to a everyday society. Only so many people a day get to go here or there. And it just keeps rotating out, and everybody just stays working at home.
Yeah,
to a point.
There's going to be a lot of people who don't.
I mean, obviously not everybody can, but
right. I mean, I just saw where now a lot of these companies and stuff are feeling like it's been pretty successful for people working at home, so they can probably continue doing that. I mean, it might be a whole different scene in the workplace, you know. Yeah.
It might be real positive. Think about all the women that aren't going to get groped.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the first things I thought about.
You can stay home with your family, you know, and not be separated so you have a little more hands-on with what's happening with your kids.
Yeah, and I'm hoping people are feeling grateful for that. It's been a time of reuniting, you know, with the family unit, and you know, unless someone's very stressed out about actually the essential things like feeding their family, then they probably in their minds don't have as much time to, you know, think about, you know, having them around and how grateful they are because they're concerned about, you know, putting food on the table. But but if you're in a position where, you know, that's not a problem for you, then I'm hoping that people are taking the time to feel grateful. Stay connected, you know, and anyone that can help someone in need of even just more than physical, but emotional, spiritual, psychological. If we could pay attention, just reach out and help people that you might know that need assistance in any of those ways. You know, maybe financial as well. There are programs that people can. I know Wisconsin has a pretty good system for assistance in food and rent. And I'm hoping that the rest of the country and all the states have similar, you know, setups. I don't know, but you know, so I would hope that the people can fulfill their needs in whatever they are, and that others that can help will.
Well put. I agree. I think so, and I think at the end of the day, we're all going to shift to a new normal and. You know, sometimes new normals are good. Sometimes you need a little change, and that's going to be what helps Mother Nature, helps us, the whole climate change issues. So I think, you know, there's always a positive and a negative, and that's why we have our champagne toast. It's not about the champagne, but we do like champagne. But we like our wine time. But really, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a real pleasure. And we ask you, please tell Kim we say hello and thank her for her awesome drumming. Oh, my God.
Yes, thank you
She's
for
a
saying
badass,
that. I
so
will.
both of you are. Thank you. And everyone, we're going to play Orange Grove because, like, we have to, man. And it's Champagne Sundays, and mimosas are part of that, orange juice. And it's the one thing we can do. Vitamin D, vitamin C. Keep up your immune system. Go outside, get some fresh air as much as you can in the sunshine. Have as many oranges as you can. And if you want to put champagne in there, well, you know, I ain't going to stop you.
There you go.
You're not going to stop them.
Heck no. And don't forget the album Truth is out now. Oh, before you go, I heard that there's like another album coming out. I can't leave without asking that.
Oh, Kim, for the first time ever, Kim recorded with someone else. So all of these recordings we've done over the years, the decades, have been Mrs. Fun. And then Kim wanted to do a recording with our friend, the sax player from Chicago, Julie Wood. And so it's just a drum sax recording, and that I produced and actually wrote a few things, but it's mostly improvisational. Harkening back to like when there was a period of time where the jazz artists were doing just a drum horn or mostly drum sax duos. So this one's called Carnival of Souls.
Oh, I like that. I like that. And oh my gosh, I really wanted to play for Nancy too. Spaceport Pinocchio. I mean, come on.
Oh yeah.
I know. I'm totally taking this on the road. We're going to listen to this as road trip music because
awesome.
there's places like I'm like, oh, you know, we like to match music to places, and this would have been some fun. Yeah. So here it is, Orange Grove, everybody, and I want to thank the National Parks Arts Foundation for sponsoring today's show. Artists, musicians, writers, poets, check them out. A month-long residency in national park units like Chaco, Dry Tortugas in the Florida Keys, Gettysburg, Hawaii volcanoes. Seriously, songwriters, singers, check it out. It's nationalparksartsfoundation.org. We want to thank the Dancing Moon Bed and Breakfast here in Clifton, Colorado for putting up with us, and also for our peach mimosas today, which was peach juice and peach cider, all locally produced and grown.
And highly recommended.
Yes, but we want to thank the Trey and Annette for dealing with us. And we will be back tomorrow, Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be doing a show all about the area that we're in now, Clifton and Palisade, Colorado. We're going to be talking about art, peaches, because this is peach country, wine, all kinds of great things. So stay tuned. You'll also hear about the bed and breakfast that we're staying in. So stay tuned. And you can keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. So here it is. Orange Grove, you take care. It's been great to have you on the show, Connie.
Oh, thank you so much. Nice meeting you both.
You too. Care. And everyone, MrsFun.com, or go to Facebook as well. They're on Spotify, Amazon, all those great places. Here it is.